Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Obina. Today we're going to learn synchronization of libraries and OneDrive. Libraries that could be coming from a SharePoint site or a OneDrive account belonging to a particular user. Why do we need to understand the synchronization? It's simply because of some of the challenges and problems we may have with the synchronization. For example, some of us may have encountered where we're trying to synchronize from the cloud down to our local machine and the sync client, which is this particular icon here, the OneDrive icon on my taskbar, towards my notification area. You can see that I'm syncing my OneDrive already here. All right. And then you could find out that there could be some synchronization problems or challenges. So I'm going to walk us through how to solve some of these problems and the possible causes of this problem, right? I may break this video into two, should I not be able to finish it on one video slide. But please do try and check out my other videos, all right, where I taught about an overview of Microsoft 365. Please check it up in the description below above, pardon me. Check out my other videos that teaches you how to understand saving site as a template, because it can come in very handy for you as a support engineer. So today let's dive into it, and I have logged into a particular user. This user is just a normal user, guys. It's just a normal user on my tenant. I also have my admin open here as well. So this is my global admin on the same tenancy. So here I am signed into a particular user who's just a regular user on this tenant. So here I logged into office.com because this user has a license, and I click on the app launcher and select SharePoint. I can also launch OneDrive. I can also access Teams. I can also access OneNote and different applications. If I'm not seeing the particular applications that I want, I can go into more apps. When I navigate into more apps, it allows me to see other applications that come along with Microsoft 365 license. Now, remember, our focus is SharePoint and OneDrive. So when you launch SharePoint, it takes you to a particular page called the SharePoint Start page. The SharePoint Start page is pretty much where you can create a SharePoint site for collaboration. Remember that a SharePoint site is basically a document repository. We can use it for our internet collaboration, or like a landing page for our department, okay, where we want to share information across the entire organization. So here I'm going to quickly create a site, and I'm going to create a team site. We can create either a team site or a communication site, and basically the difference, because you can use both of them for very much similar purpose, but the difference is that if you want to reach a wider audience, you use a communication site. If you're also trying to build an internet landing page, or more or less like a gateway, you can use a communication site as your landing, and then you infuse team sites for your different navigations. So for this demonstration, I'm going to just stick to a team site. And by creating a team site, it's just going to be a simple team site. We have the options to choose from different templates that are already pre-built for us by different developer communities that are connected to Microsoft. All right, so we're going to just make it simple and stick to standard theme. So in the standard theme, I will select use template. Nothing fancy here. I will just go ahead and give it a name. So here I will just say the name of this one will be demo, and automatically you can see I'm going to leave site description. Automatically what you notice is that it's going to generate a group email address. All right, and it's also going to generate a site address. So I'll click on next. And the privacy settings can be changed to either private or public, where the difference basically is very, very clear. By public, it means that if I'm in a particular department and I'm creating the site for my department, should I make it public? It will be seen whenever anybody searches for it. across the entire organization. I'm going to leave it private because this is just for my department, and I can go ahead and click on create site. Now, I'm requested to add a member to it, and in adding a member, I can add any member of my team or any member across the entire organization because we are all connected via what we call Azure Active Directory. What it simply means is that it's an identity management system that allows for identification where identities are created. All right, so identities have been created already and connected to the Azure Active Directory. I'll talk about that in a different video. So here I would just keep it simple and just add my global admin who I'm already signed into. I would have loved to use a different user, but not a problem for this demonstration. So by the time I just type the name here, it's going to look for it across the directory. Apologies for the slowness of my network at this moment. It has come up and then I click on finish. So what's going to happen now is that it's going to automatically add this particular user to the site collection and create my SharePoint site. So when my SharePoint site is created, what we can do is that we have access to a variety of different important things. It means that we can have access. We now have access to create to a document library. We have access to pages. We can even create a notebook, as you can see on the left. Okay, so just for simplicity, all right, I will do another overview of this entire SharePoint site. But what we see here is basically the SharePoint site that this user has created. We didn't do any other thing aside from just adding a name, adding a member, and that was all. And then it automatically builds this lovely framework for us. So this particular SharePoint site is also referred to as a site collection. Why is it called a site collection? A collection simply connotes the togetherness of different smaller objects. It means that those objects may be performing certain functionalities on the entire site. And that's actually what is happening here. The site is made up of objects. These objects are referred to as web parts. The web parts comprises of news, document libraries, pages, and so on. Each of them perform unique functions that make the entire site to be functional. Aside these web parts that I'm referring to, we just have an empty canvas. So on the left hand side, we see that we can navigate across different sections of the site. So we have the home. The home basically just connotes the landing page of our site. Then we have conversations because this particular site is connected to Microsoft Teams, which means that we can start chatting and then we can get our conversations via the conversation navigation. Then we have documents, which connotes the default document library. So I always explain to my students and engineers that it is not a document library because it's written documents by Microsoft. It is a document library by function, and later on you're going to see. We have shared with us, we have notebook, pages, site contents, and recycle bin. Now, if you're a support engineer and you are interacting with your client that has an issue with their SharePoint site. What basically you will always do, as I always advise by good practice, is to go to site content. When you navigate to site content, what it does is that it allows you to see the entire configuration, major configuration, or basic configuration of the entire SharePoint site. So let us see the configuration of this particular site as it loads. It's pretty much empty, right? But I'm just saying that when you're interacting with a client, if you're a support engineer, and you're interacting with a client where they have configured quite a lot of things on their SharePoint site, always go to the site content to verify the correct object you're working with. Now, this is not just for support engineer, it's even best practice for global admins and SharePoint administrators, because you could make a mistake, all right, where you are working on a wrong object. Okay. Once again, apologies for the speed of my internet today. I think I'll just refresh again. Let's see whether that would create any change for us. Okay, let me see if I go to the document library, if that also help. Okay, so I will switch at this time to my global admin. So for my global admin, I am currently logged into the SharePoint Admin Center. And in the SharePoint Admin Center, we can see the name of the site that I just created. So these would be very useful for admins who are trying to manage sites that are created by their respective users in the organization. So if I'm refreshing this, and then let me also now check whether this has loaded. Okay, it's loading. Now, if this same user, that is the regular user who's not an admin, navigates to OneDrive. Remember, we're talking about synchronization of OneDrive. How do you sync the OneDrive? The way you sync the OneDrive is by navigating to OneDrive on the web. So you can navigate to OneDrive on the web through the app launcher on the top left, the nine waffle dots that you see. So once you launch that, you will see all the applications that are there, like this. All right. Now, when you click on OneDrive, you navigate to My Files, or you go to Home, irrespective of the level that you're on. The next thing for you to do is to click on the Settings wheel on the top right. So when you click on the Settings wheel on the top right, it immediately brings out the settings of the OneDrive for you. And in the settings, you can see the option Sync this OneDrive. So I'll click on it. When I click to sync this OneDrive, a pop-up will always come up. Now, if this pop-up does not come up, two things are most likely the reason. You already have the OneDrive corrupted or pre-installed already on your OneDrive. What you just need to do is to select install the latest version of OneDrive, which is this option that is below. But since mine has come up, I will just select here and click on open. So it would automatically bring up the agent. Now, what is the difference between this particular OneDrive and the one that is inbuilt, all right, with my operating system? The difference is that the OneDrive for Business that I access via the web is license driven. The other one, which is pre-built with my operating system of Windows, whether Windows 10 or Windows 11, all right, is OneDrive in-app. All right, that is not license driven. Okay, so here you can see that it already initiates a single sign-on by embedding the particular user who is initiating the sync agent. We refer to this as an agent, the sync agent client. Okay, so I'll click on sign in, click on sign in, and then it starts to create a directory path. It starts to create a directory path where it will store and synchronize all that I have in the cloud to my local machine. Okay, so we'll wait for this to complete. While this is uh, taking effect, I'm checking the SharePoint site to see the outcome. Okay, it seems to be Apologies, guys, for the delay. All right, so please do give me a like, subscribe to the channel to encourage this kind of content to come up more. If it's helpful to you, I would appreciate the feedback. I would also appreciate what you would like me to do next. Okay, thank you. All right, so on the site that has opened, what basically we see is the framework I was initially telling you about. I emphasized that the reason we have documents does not emphatically mean that this is a library. All right? Because, as you can see, I have other document libraries. So, because it's written documents does not necessarily make it a document library. All right, guys, I can have all the document libraries with different names. So it's always good to come into the site content on any site to see the framework or the structure that has been designed by the site owner. So if I now go into my document library that comes with the site, I'm going to create some different items that I would like to synchronize to my local machine. Okay, now I cannot do that until the agent is completely installed. So I'm checking again to be sure that the agent is installed. That is still taking some time. So I'll navigate back to my document library to create the various items. So in the document library, there are a lot of things I can do. I can click on the add button to add different variety of content or of files, okay, of these files. If using a different kind of file, I can upload it. If I have it in a different drive or on my local machine, I can just click on upload and connect it and you know take it up here. So I'll just still stick with the basic ones and create a folder. So I'll create a folder, then I'll create some files just so that we can have tangible items that we can synchronize. So I'll give the folder a name. So I will just call it folder folder D folder D. No, let me just give it the name test one. Okay, I can change the color if I want. It just comes in handy for visualization, especially when you have a lot of people that have access to this document library. It helps them easily identify their preferred um, folders that they're working on. Okay, so I'll create another one. Okay, give it green, and I can call it test test two. Okay, so I'll check if the sync agent is completed. Let's go back to it because I clicked on sign in. So it doesn't take time, usually like this. So I will just sign in and then it would ask me to authenticate. So I will have to authenticate before the creation starts. Okay, so let's see. All right, I've gotten my authenticator notification. So I will enter the details, So this should connect me now. Okay. Stay. All right. Okay. So okay, good. So now what it's going to show me is that it's going to show me the different places where I would like to create my OneDrive folder. The folder is a directory part on my local machine that it will create. What that directory folder does basically is that it synchronizes all my content in my OneDrive on the cloud to my local machine. All right. Now, if I want a copy of the item on the local machine and on the cloud, then I would have to either enable file on demand. So, file on demand basically just allows me to save space where I can still access the files using the same client. What it means is that the items will not create a copy of itself on my local storage and use up all my local storage. So if I had 1 terabyte of local storage on my hard disk and I am synchronizing my OneDrive from the cloud and my OneDrive is 2 terabyte full, on the cloud. What it means is that if I don't enable file on demand, it will use up all my 1 terabyte on my hard disk, guys. So that is number one reason why you may be having a synchronization issue. You can as well simply just enable the file on demand, which creates only a cloud version. All right, it leaves only a cloud version of your items on your OneDrive. It doesn't create a copy on your local hard drive. That saves you space. That can also solve your synchronization problem. Good. So if you don't to limit cost, if you do not want to expand your storage on your local hard drive, you can enable file on demand. So whilst this new one is going, you can see I already have a OneDrive sync client connected. So I will click on it to show you. Okay, it's already working. All right, so let me create this and I click on next. Oops. Now there was a place where it says change location. I would like to change location just so that you can see that you can actually change location. So for this particular one that I already have, I will go to settings so that you can see file on demand. So when I go to settings, yours may be different from this interface. All right, this is one of this is like the new interface of the OneDrive Sync client. No problem, guys, if it's different. All you just need to do is to find this option. Okay, sync and backup. It may be differently arranged for your own, and then you navigate to advanced settings. So in advanced settings, you can see file on demand that I mentioned. So the file on demand basically allows you to free up space. OneDrive downloads cloud files to this PC the first time you open them. To change offline access to all your files, select an option below. Free up disk space. Download all files. So freeing up disk space simply just creates the cloud only version of the item, which is very useful, guys. Trust me, which is very useful. All right, so let me go away by closing these and I will navigate back here. So I'm going to click on cancel because I wanted to show you something. So I would initiate it again. I would initiate the sync client again on that particular user. So I'm going to initiate the sync again. I want to initiate it again because I want to change the location. I think it is already, whoa, it has already completed it. Look at it here. Haha, it has already completed it. Okay, so I have two OneDrive sync client here. All right, so I have two OneDrive sync client. It has already, created it. All right. So now you can see now that I do not have any sync problem and your files are synced. If I go to my file explorer, or from here I can open folder. If I click on open folder, it immediately opens the OneDrive for for that particular user on my file explorer. As you can see, folder A. If I go back to the web, you can see I have folder A as well. So if I go back to the file explorer and I create what's it called? I create a folder here from my local machine, and I call this folder folder C, just to test that synchronization is working. You can see the status is already showing syncing. All right, it's already showing syncing, and you can see that the sync client agent is already working as well. Okay, now if I navigate to if I navigate to the cloud, I should see folder C appear without even refreshing. It is that good. Now, what happens when we have some sync problems? There are various scenarios. Okay, so please, I want you to stay tuned to this series. Okay, as this will be the part one, and I'll do the part two. All right, following. Okay, so it will be a continuation. I will do the part two, and then we're going to break down the kind of issues we may encounter and how to fix them. I may not be able to reproduce all the scenarios, and the reason why is because I cannot reproduce the scenarios because I may not necessarily be having those kind of um, limitations, all right, that would warrant those issues. Okay, so if you encounter those issues that I'm going to list out for you, then you can solve the problem using the solutions I'll render in the part two. Thank you so much for your time. All right, as we've been able to learn how to sync the OneDrive sync client from the OneDrive account, and then in the part two, we're going to see how to sync the document library from SharePoint as well. Please like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so that you can receive the immediate notification from me. Thank you for the support always, and have a great day. See you in the next video, guys.